Auspicious greetings to all my fellow brothers and sisters in the Dharma. Welcome to the Sunday check-in section, a 30-minute gathering for Dharma teachings, introspection, and connecting with the community. My name is Joyce, and I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So I've been a member of this community for past 3 years. So for those who have recently joined our community, please accept our sincere welcome. If you have any uncertainties or curious about our practice and subjects, please don't hesitate to ask. And for our regular members, it's great to have you back. Welcome. So it is customary in Australia to begin any meeting by acknowledging the traditional owners of our land. So in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we walk, study, and reside, the Wodi people of the Tarawa Nation, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. I also pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all are. So the check-in sections have been developed by our community's practice team and the entire community. So these sections aim to develop a reflective practice in response to changes. So guided by humanistic Buddhism, we would like to cultivate our practices and build memorable friendships. So last week, we had the pleasure from learning from Venerable Joey on the topic of defiance, which was a great section. So today we have Chris here to share his insights on 50 to 69, the transition years. So let's warmly welcome Chris as he guides us through the exciting topic. Thank you. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Joyce. As customary, let's do a little bit of a check-in meditation. So I just want you to find yourself a comfortable position. Relax and gently close your eyes. And I want you to relax those shoulders especially. If you're like me, you've been typing and doing things all the week, and I just want you to just let those shoulders drop, and also your facial muscles. If you can feel there's any tightness or any hardness, just focus on those areas and let them relax. Just breathe naturally. Feel the abdomen rise and fall. Let all your muscles just soften, relax. If there's any thoughts, just let them go. Label them as a thought and let them gently move out of the scene. Feeling the abdomen rise and fall. A very gentle and soft way. Okay, just gently open your eyes now. Come back to the screen. Take a big breath. Okay. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, I'm just going to shrink my little picture here. Okay, so as mentioned, I'm the last of the intergenerational speakers, and I know we will be back, as mentioned earlier, to a panel in the near future as well. So my generation could also be termed the baby boomers. I'm kind of right at the end of the baby boomers. And this generation were born from parents who had lived through World War II, and there was kind of a relaxation after that period of time, and people were marrying and establishing families. So collectively, we were called the baby boomers. Next slide. Us baby boomers are now entering retirement stage of our life, exiting the paid workforce, and of course, we're exploring the next stage of our life. And my life, and this is a personal reflection on myself, has been very conventional. I've worked most of my life. I did have a stint when I was younger where I enjoyed the freedoms of teenagers. But it's been very conventional, if not privileged at times too. I was employed most of my life, having a family and a reasonable income most of my life. And in many ways, I felt very lucky. In a sense, all the hard work has been done now. And I also feel very lucky I had a job that gave me a lot of satisfaction. And I think that's very important when you look back on your life, that you've done something that you enjoyed and that contributed something to the world as well. And during that job, I also had many opportunities for travel, challenging projects, and it was intrinsically interesting. I was an academic most of my life and a clinician as well. So I could give something back to the community in that sense. Next slide. But I've entered a period now what I call the transition period. It's a transition from the busy 50s because this age bracket does include that culmination of your work life to what I call the reorientation phase. And in homage to Joey, I've also used the R here. So, you know, that earlier part, as you can see on my graph, there's a steep incline. You're at the culmination of your work life. Your things are all happening. It's usually a very busy part of time as well. But you're also getting closer to that retirement age, and that could be anywhere between 60 and 70 these days. I do think more people, especially in Australia, are opting for a slightly earlier retirement because of the superannuation. But it's also a time of reflection as well, reflecting back, even if you're still in the workforce, and also reflecting forward, what's yet to come. And it's a time of relaxation. It's a time when people can pursue their own hobbies and enjoyments when you have more time. And of course, it's a time of reorientation where you need to explore what are you going to do with this spare time? And, you know, is there anything else you can contribute to the larger society and your family as well? Next slide. I'd like to briefly outline what I consider as several reflective comments that I'd like to share with you today. The first is gratitude. On reflection, I've been very grateful for my life and past. I've had a very, as I said, lucky life, no major dramas in my life. I've established I had a good social network in the sense of family and friends, and also more the community as well. I've been involved in some community things as well. And I've been lucky. I've had relatively good health, no physical dramas or mental illnesses that have plagued me over time. Next slide. The second I realised is the importance of relationships. Most people think that the traditional concepts of physical and mental health determine your well-being, but increasingly research is showing that it's your social networks and relationships that are more important. And that's especially so as you leave your workforce because, you know, a lot of your socialization is done during your work time. And once that finishes or declines, you need to enlarge in the other areas of life as well. Next slide. The third point is the recognition of change and impermanence. Some of us might remember George Harrison's album in the late 60s, just after he left the Beatles, All Things Must Pass, and that rings very true the older you get. We must acknowledge that things have dramatically changed since we were children, teenagers, and young adults. And this includes your physical sense, your realization that you're not capable of doing things you could in your teens and even in your 30s and 40s when you were still relatively strong. And your worldview changes markedly too. If I think back when I was a young boy watching Dick Tracy and his little watch, talking to someone, and now all of us are walking around with phones doing that and so much more. And also, you know, how the other things in the world have changed, political alliances, and it's a completely different world that we're moving into, and it's constantly changing. And also your social networks too. As I mentioned, you know, when you retire, you do leave a large percentage of social interaction that occurs at work. And finally, your capabilities. You realise that you're not capable of doing everything that you could as well. And all I can say to that is you need to accept that. You need to accept that all things do pass, and you need to be kind to yourself too and not stress yourself. That's not to say you can't keep maintaining your goals and things that you want to achieve. But you need to know that there will come a time when you can't do those things, and you must accept that. Next slide. The fourth point is you have to learn to focus on the present, the right now. And here is where Buddhism has a lot to offer. I'd like to read these two quotes that are attributed to the Buddha. The first on the side there, the secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. And the other one, very similar, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. And what has been very important to me in trying to attain this right now perspective is meditation. And I know Priscilla mentioned that we're going to change into a different format in the future, in the near future, and meditation is going to be one of those things. And I think to get the benefits of meditation, from what I understand, is that it needs to be practiced regularly and for a sufficient period of time, so you can see those benefits of being in the right now, the right present, that occur over time. So in closing, next slide, I'd like to consider what are our reflections for this week's discussion. Even as we age, we should work on developing our minds and living a healthy lifestyle with integrity. What steps or activities are you taking for developing your mind and a healthy lifestyle for the present and future? And the second thing I'd like you to reflect on is, what are some ways you can also practice gratitude as well? So I'll hand you back to Joyce now to put you into groups and to commence your discussion.
Thank you, Chris. So now we will be placed in a group of 3 to 4 to share and discuss. So in the discussion, we recommend you spend some time getting to know each other and then discuss the questions today. There will be some Zoom notifications to guide you, but feel free to let the flow of your discussions guide you. So our sections are guided by metta, which is unconditional love and kindness for all sentient beings. Let's use these breakout sections to express and receive love, loving kindness to and from one another. So and take time to pause, share, and listen. We also ask you to share some of your findings with the larger group at the end of the breakout section. So now let's go to our breakout rooms for a rich and nourishing discussions. See you all back in 15 minutes.
Look, I hope you all enjoyed that discussion. And I'm wondering if we could just put our hands up of those that are in that generation. So, okay, Priscilla, can anyone count those? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me get the next screen. Okay, looks like about 8. So, and how many have we got here? 32. So we've got about a quarter of our generation that's in that phase. And I think the point I was trying to make is that phase also includes the work phase too. You know, it's not as though it's just the retirement phase, but includes both, because you're really, you know, ramping up your work and your professional life. And then on the other side, you've also got the the downside as well. So it's kind of like the peak of that bigger triangle that we're looking at. So please feel free to put in some chats there, and we can follow up with some discussion. Or if you'd like to contribute something at this point, yes, we've got someone. Andy.
Okay, so we'll just read a couple of comments, if that's okay, and then we'll hand back to Joyce to finish. And then for the plenary, we can have an open discussion.
Okay.
So just a couple of comments because we're heading up to 11:30.
Okay, so we've got one here: practice gratitude, 3 C's: cease, complaining, be content, and contemplation. Daily reflection and journaling. Yes, that's very much helpful for developing that gratitude. And Liam, there is a time and place for reflection on the past so that it can be used to inform the present and future positively. What use? Brooding over the past if it's just going to cause suffering. Thank you, Liam. And Bante, wise reflection on history, personal and cultural, let it inform the present. Okay, anyone else there coming up? How are we going for time there, Priscilla? Should we think about winding up? Yes. So please keep those comments coming in. Winnowing chaff, same. Interesting. Okay, so I'll hand it back to you, Priscilla, and
Joyce.
Joyce to complete it.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So we really hope the check-in section was helpful to you, and we hope you experienced the unconditional love and compassion of this community. But for anyone who might be experiencing a greater need, what today could meet, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And you can also reach out to the professional organizations on the screen. So next Sunday, we will be having Aina to guide us on another heartwarming topic, namely good friends. So please come and join us. So as we check out today, so let's recite the dedication of marriage together and send love and compassion to whoever is in need.
Let us now dedicate the goodness of what you have done to all living beings. May kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity pervade all worlds. May we cherish and build affinities to benefit all beings. May Chan, Pure Land, and precepts inspire equality and patience. May our gratitude and humility give rise to great vows.
Thank you, Chris, for your generous sharing today. So thank you very much, Joey, for being our IT master behind the scenes, and Liam on coordinating the slide sharing on the screen today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So now we will have our usual plenary session. So please stay around if you have time. Otherwise, see you all again next Sunday at